Every president enters office talking about peace. They talk about unity. They talk about healing the nation. They talk about ending conflicts, not starting them. The crowd applauds. The media praises them. Hope fills the room. But history shows us something very different. Because when power starts slipping, when approval ratings fall, when the economy begins to shake, war suddenly becomes necessary. Not optional, not avoidable, necessary. This is not coincidence. This is not bad luck. This is design. Here is the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Peace bankrupts America. War makes it rich. And once you understand this, you will never look at politics the same way again. The U.S. economy is not built on cash. It is built on debt. Every year, the government spends more money than it earns. Not a little more. Trillions more. That extra money doesn't come from thin air. It is borrowed. Borrowed from banks. Borrowed from institutions. Borrowed from the future of its own people. Debt is not a problem for the system. Debt is the system. And nothing creates debt faster than war. A war doesn't cost millions. It costs trillions. Weapons, troops, fuel, logistics, rebuilding destroyed cities, long-term medical care for soldiers. Every dollar spent is borrowed money, and every borrowed dollar comes with interest. That interest means control, because when you owe money, you answer to the lender. Now here's where it gets darker. When a country is at peace, people ask questions. Why are taxes high? Why is inflation rising? Why are we spending so much on defense? Peace makes people curious. Curiosity is dangerous for power, but war changes everything. Fear replaces logic. Emotion replaces reason. Suddenly, asking questions feels unpatriotic. Criticism feels like betrayal. Silence becomes safety. War gives government something priceless. Permission. Permission to print money. Permission to increase budgets. Permission to spy, censor, and control. All justified in the name of security. This is why wars are never just fought on battlefields. They are fought in minds. Now let's talk about the engine behind endless conflict. The military-industrial complex. This is not a theory. It is a system, a massive network of defense companies, weapons manufacturers, contractors, and lobbyists. Their survival depends on one thing: conflict. No war means no contracts. No contracts mean no profits. No profits mean no political donations. So peace becomes bad for business. Weapons are not built to sit in warehouses forever. They are built to be used. Every missile fired creates demand for another. Every destroyed tank justifies 2 replacements. Every battlefield becomes a marketplace. War is consumption, and politicians approve it because it keeps the economy moving. Defense factories create jobs. War spending boosts GDP. Stock markets react positively to conflict. Blood flows on the ground. Money flows at the top. Now add elections to the equation. Presidents are judged on performance. Economy, jobs, stability. Fixing an economy takes years. Starting a war takes one speech, one enemy, one threat, one dramatic announcement. Suddenly, headlines change. Failures disappear. The president becomes a leader in crisis. Approval ratings rise, not because people love war, but because fear makes people cling to authority. People don't rally around peace. They rally around power when they feel unsafe. History repeats this pattern again and again. Different presidents, different excuses, same result. Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. Each war sold as necessary. Each war promised to be short. Each war ended in chaos. Trillions spent, millions affected. No real victory. But one thing always grows: debt. Wars end. Debt does not. Debt outlives presidents. Debt outlives soldiers. Debt outlives truth. Because debt is the real weapon. A nation drowning in debt becomes dependent. Dependent on lenders. Dependent on markets. Dependent on financial systems it cannot control. War quietly resets the financial system. It justifies money printing. It hides inflation. It excuses failure. When prices rise, blame the war. When budgets explode, blame the enemy. When freedoms disappear, blame security. War is the perfect distraction. And peace? Peace exposes everything. Peace forces accountability. Peace reveals corruption. Peace asks uncomfortable questions. That is why peace is dangerous. So when you hear a president say, "We don't want war, but we have no choice," understand this clearly. There is always a choice. War is not the failure of diplomacy. Many times, it is the success of design. A design where fear creates obedience, where debt creates control, where power feeds on crisis. The people who decide war never fight it. The people who profit never bleed. And the people who suffer are told it's for their freedom. They call it defense. They call it national security. They call it patriotism. But follow the money. Follow the debt. Follow who benefits when peace collapses. And you will see why war keeps returning, no matter who becomes president. Because in this system, peace is a threat. And war? War is the most profitable business on earth. If this made you uncomfortable, it was meant to. If this made you think, that was the point. Share this before it gets buried.